Welcome to One with the Other Way, a podcast about your journey and finances. I'm your host, James. In today's episode on retirement income, we'll be talking about Social Security, pensions, and your own personal investments. We'll also be talking about clarifying your goals and creating your own personal income stream. We hope you enjoy. Welcome to One with the Other Way, a podcast about your journey in finances. Today we're talking about retirement income. This is a highly requested video, so why don't we start off? We have Wanda and Peggy with us. I guess kind of where we're going to start is, how much does someone need to retire? I feel like that's a very commonly asked question.
I want to make sure, a lot of people do talk about retirement income, and there's three things that I want to reinforce. First is that retirement income is generally streams of income from various sources. So that's the first thing, right? So there's a method to it. And then the second thing is, how much do you need, right? And there's a calculation there involved with that, right? The third thing is creating your own income stream, because when we talk about those potential income streams, that primary income stream will be the one that you create for yourself. So those three things I want to make sure that we talk about when we talk about retirement income.
Yeah, let's start with, I guess, Social Security, because that's the first thing you think of with the government, that's supposed to be there to help with retirement. As a financial advisor, depending on your age, how much does Social Security be impacting your retirement?
Okay, so I feel like it's going to be the podcast of the threes, right? Because there's three streams of income, right? Potentially, right? And one of them is Social Security, right? So Social Security, a potential pension, and then your own retirement income stream that you create. And there's a lot of myth going in and around Social Security. The Social Security tax that you give every month, right? 6.85% payroll taxes. That does not go in a trust fund in your Social Security number. There is no trust fund there. Yet periodically, actuaries actually review the numbers to determine if we can support Social Security. Social Security will be there in some way, shape, or form for all of us. But I'm going to emphasize in some way, shape, or form. Because from the actuarial standpoint, and they report to Congress, that between the year 2033 and 2035, right, so about 10 years from today, that in order to keep Social Security into the future, it will require a 20 to 25% cut in the benefit for all recipients. Those are in the system. If they don't do something in the next 10 years. So we've got a couple election cycles and we got a few Congresses to get through. But it is important for us to look at Social Security as one of our benefits and that we need to discuss some type of reform. And when we consider the reform, the last time Social Security was reformed was in the year 1983. And the change to Social Security was implemented 40 years into the future. So even if we do a reform now, it's something that's going to be implemented 40 years in the future, depending on, now you have to think about where you fall in that spectrum. Are you about to receive Social Security, or are you 40 years away, that kind of thing. The actuaries actually came up with some proposals, and I'm going to share those with you. Maybe you can put those in the footnotes.
I will, but these will be in the show notes.
Yeah, so that if all of us increased our payroll tax by a couple percentage points, not quite 8%, it would cover that shortfall and we would be fine going forward in Social Security. So again, an increased payroll tax. You're going to get some form of Social Security. It's a benefit that we all get as Americans. Again, it will be changed in way, shape, or form, and better to address it now for Americans than in the future. But it is part of your financial planning. In your own personal financial planning, you can start receiving it at full retirement age 67. If you delay it, you get an 8% increase in that Social Security up to age 70 at 68, 69, 78% each year. And if you think about it, we will live until our late 80s. So if you start receiving Social Security at 70, you'll get it all the way through your 70s and your 80s at that higher rate. So when you're looking at your own Social Security plan, take a look at the number. Social Security Administration sends you a letter. You can actually go online and see your benefit. And that's part of your financial plan. You're allocating money to it on a regular basis, about 7% a month. And so you want to consider that as part of your plan. And so that's Social Security in a nutshell. Again, talking to a professional, Social Security Administration will take appointments so you can talk to them about it. The second stream of income that we look at is pensions. There are a lot of people that potentially could get pensions. These are generally people who are in the education fields, government field, and military fields. But most Americans do not have pensions. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Maybe sometime we'll do a podcast about what in the world happened to pensions, but basically fewer than 20% of us, I think. And that number keeps going down, are getting some kind of pension from a company or the government. And that brings us to that last stream of income, the retirement income that you create for yourself. And Peggy, do you want to talk a little bit about that one?
Sure. So you already talked about you have your Social Security, which is you're guaranteed some source of income from there. If you're lucky enough to have a pension, you would be guaranteed some source of income from there. And then the other thing that you have to get income would be your personal retirement accounts, your personal investment accounts. So these are accounts that you've been saving throughout your life, your 401ks, your IRAs, your Roths. And that is another stream of income for your retirement. And so the way that would work is you would, talk with your financial advisor, talk about how much you need, look at your cash flow, all of that. And then we would determine together a set number that you need monthly. And then we would actually send that money to you monthly from your own accounts.
Right. And when you're looking at your own accounts, right, there are several buckets, right? So you'll have, of course, the 401k. Potentially you have traditional IRAs. Potentially you have Roth IRAs, and potentially you'll have investments outside of retirement accounts. And you can create this for yourself. And Peggy mentioned talking to a financial advisor. The reason to go to a financial advisor is this is one of the most important financial decisions that you will ever make in your life, is how to create the stream of income for yourself so you do not run out of money before you pass away. Because ideally, right, your money lasts until you pass away and then done. We have tools that can help determine what you need, how much you can withdraw and how to do it so that you never run out of money.
I think that's a scary thing for an individual. It's also for us, right? We want to be really sure that we're making, we're looking at everything, and we don't just look at it once. We look at it all, continually throughout your retirement to make sure that we're doing what's best, and recommending you take the money from which kinds of accounts. Because like you mentioned, there are the different types of accounts. They will have different tax implications, and you want to make sure that you're drawing down on your investment account so that it lasts for the rest of your life. And that's a tricky thing.
I hesitate because I use the word never run out of money. Yeah. Because you could run out of money. And when you are saving money and investing for retirement, that's one thing. And you're seeing your financial advisor talking on a regular basis, reviewing your accounts, taking a look on your own, if you're doing it yourself on a regular basis to see what your bottom line is. When you retire, you still need to have the same diligence that you had when you were accumulating assets. The diligence is more on looking at the implications of how I draw down my investments from what avenue, and how my taxes are affected over time. And no, taxes are not reduced for a senior. We all pay the same tax rate. The one that we do get out of is the payroll tax because we're drawing down income.
I want to go back just slightly because you had talked about Social Security first, and the pensions, then your own, investment accounts. How much in this model that we are proposing, I don't know if you want to use that word.
Right.
How does one determine how much weight each of these accounts or each of these three need to make up? With Social Security changing potentially in the next 10 years, should we put the same weight that we are putting it on now? Or should we consider not relying on it as heavily in your future plan? And then if we have it, it's great.
Well, it depends, again, on what your income needs are, right? Social Security has a specific number. They'll give it to you if you go online and look at it, right? But it also has a maximum number. And for some people, they will get the maximum and it will still be a smaller portion of their overall retirement because they are a person that has higher income needs. Then there are people who have lower income needs, and Social Security may be a larger portion of their overall retirement. So I wouldn't say that you're going to rely on it less or more based on what's happening over the next 10 years. You just need to know it's part of your plan, and you can see what that number is now. So you put that number in. Okay, so that much of what my total retirement incomes or needs is going to be from Social Security. Then this much is going to be from my pension, which again, it's not like your pension numbers, you can't get them. You know what they're going to be several years before you retire, right? You know approximately what they're going to be. So then you put that number in, and then, okay, so now I have this much, and I need to make up the rest of my needs from my individual investments. So I think that's the approach really that you kind of have to look at it, rather than saying, oh, gee, Social Security is not going to be as much as it was, and there might be this 20% cut, because really we don't know if there's going to be a 20% cut. They might increase the wage limit, right? So there's a lot of things they could,
yes,
right?
There's a lot of
things they can do to make that shortfall, go away. And we don't know what they're going to do.
Right. They can increase taxes, they can change the threshold limit, and they can reduce the benefit. So let's not put all the eggs over there in that one basket.
Right.
But you do bring up a very good point, is the needs. Addressing what it is that you need, answering what that number is probably the most important thing you do. These are components and things that will make up that need. But addressing the need is the most important thing you do. What do you need when you retire? Right. And I have a thing that I talk about, retirement boom years.
No, I think you should do that. The life of your retirement, how it goes. Yeah.
Right. Initially, right, the retirement comes and you're young enough and you're active and you're traveling and you're doing things and you're spending more money and you're going out to dinner more often and you're seeing friends. You're spending money. And those are your retirement boom years. And then it seems, again, from my experience, that we tend to slow down a little bit. Maybe we don't need, 4 cruises a year. Maybe we only need like 1 or 2 or something like that. Right. And so there's a flow in that retirement that slows down. And then it picks up again for medical. Then there's another pickup at the out years, right, for medical. So kind of like a retirement boom years, a little mellowing when you realize that there's some time here, and then medical. I want to talk specifically about how you figure out your needs, though. Talking to your financial advisor and addressing cash flow is a way to figure out your needs. And one of the things that I challenge people to do is whenever they're talking to me, it's just like, put more money in your investment accounts. It's pretty much, I say that all the time. So if you're making $120,000, let's say, I'm going to try to use easy math today. So we're going to put $30,000 into a 401k. That leaves us $90,000. We're going to fund a Roth for $7,000. That leaves us $83,000. I'm going to put $12,000 in my non-retirement investment account. Now I'm down to $71,000. That means that I'm living on $71,000. And so when I retire, that's what I need to be generated from my investment account, $71,000. And so as I'm looking at retirement and I'm thinking to myself, okay, I got to generate $70,000 from my investment accounts. That's quite a bit of money. And I can challenge myself and look at my investment accounts and determine whether or not they'll generate that $70,000 in my future years. Another way of doing it is increasing your investments and dropping your standard of living to $60,000. Because then I only need to generate $60,000 in my retirement. People say, why should you increase your investments? I'm always like, well, if you increase your investments, maybe you find the lowest level to which you need to support your retirement income in the future. So $71,000 a year that you might need, that's about $6,000 a month that your investment accounts have to generate from now until the day you die, without regard to what the market's doing. And that can be a little bit daunting to consider that number, $6,000 a month from your investment accounts. Will I run out of money? I see us thinking about how much money you need to have in your investment accounts to generate $6,000 a month. And that is just on your living expenses. So remember, we talked about retirement boom years. Because retirement boom boom years, we find that you spend more money because you have more free time.
Yeah, it's always funny when people think, right, that misconception about, well, I'm not going to need as much money in retirement. Of course you are, unless you're going to change your standard of living. You're going to need the same, if not more, especially in the beginning years.
Yes, you'll need the same and more because you'll have more time to spend it.
That's right. And people, what are you going to do when you retire? And we talk to our clients a lot about that. Oh, I'm going to travel. I'm going to go see my grandchildren. I've always wanted to do this, and all of those things require usually additional spending. Unless there are already people who do lots of traveling and they're just going to change what they're doing. But there's a lot of that discussion. And so, go back to that $71,000 number. If you're a person that's living on $71,000, then okay, X dollars will come from Social Security, but maybe not right when you retire. Because remember, you might retire at 60, you might retire at 65, but a lot of times we're going to recommend for you to wait to take your Social Security until you're 70, right? Because you get that 8% increase. It will depend on your personal situation, but so for those years, you're going to have to generate the $71,000 from, if you're lucky enough to have a pension, whatever your pension is, plus your retirement investment accounts, your individual accounts. So, you have those years where you're going to be maybe taking more from your investment accounts. And then when you get Social Security, that number is going to taper off a little bit. So it is a lot of planning, a lot of looking at what you're going to do. And I think being aware of your overall picture is really important.
Right. Your overarching picture, because those are components, right? And how do I tap into each of these buckets to make my overall financial picture the best for myself? And to that point about, it's not a plug and go, right? But it's a review on a regular basis. It looks different than when I'm accumulating. Yet it changes as each of the years go by. If you're retiring at 60, your Medicare costs come in at 65. That's going to cause a bump up in expenses, those retirement boom boom years, and then Social Security not coming, then Social Security coming in the future. And so that's a changing thing. Doesn't take a lot of discussion, but it just needs an awareness, as Peggy says, about what's going on and how the moving parts are fitting into your financial life.
So what if you want to change your lifestyle mid or at the beginning of your retirement? What if you have different desires and you want to pivot what your original plan was? How do you work with a financial advisor to make that happen?
You just do it. I mean,
yeah,
right?
Well, this is important, right? Because you will change. The person you are today is different than the person you were 10 years ago. No matter who you are, right? I'm at 61 and I think about how I was when I'm 50 and I'm like, geez, oof, I'm not the same person I was when I was 50. And so again, providing your financial advisor clarity as to where you are in the present moment so that we can create that financial life for you in the future. If it's possible, or not possible. I want to go on a world cruise every year now. That's my new way of being. Well, that might not be possible depending on what you've done prior to that present moment of determining that. And so I do notice, though, that in the retirement boom boom years, I do notice that people's expenses tend to go up. And I'm gonna exaggerate a little bit maybe, but maybe a Super 8 was great for you one time when you were young. Just like that was fantastic. It did the trick. And now all of a sudden you discovered the Four Seasons. It's amazing. Then you're shifting this way and it's more expensive. And so I have found that to be the experience, maybe not the extreme, right? But you're like, hey, I'd like to stay in a nicer place. And the expenses tend to go up. As soon as you're aware that something has changed in your way of being, then let your financial advisor know to make sure that we can incorporate that into the plan.
Yeah, I think that really basically, James, what you're saying is, what do? You're going to change. And we're just saying, yes, we understand that. Everybody changes your whole life. You're going to be in retirement now for like 20 to 30 to 40 years, right? So that's a long time. Nobody expects you to be exactly the same that whole time. It's the same as you are right now. So over time, we get to know our clients, we work with them, we discuss things with them. We talk about what our clients are going to do in their retirement, starting off sometimes in the very first appointment. We ask them, well, what does retirement look like to you? Where do you think you're going to be in 10 years? And, we start that discussion so that it's there and it's planning. And as time goes by, we get to know our clients and we try to help with those kinds of things. And you're just going to have discussions. And yes, is it possible you're going to overspend? Sure. Are we going to tell you you're overspending? Yes. Does that mean you're going to stop overspending? Not necessarily. I mean, right? Because our job is to give you that clarity. You still have to do the work too.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we can't guarantee that you're going to not overspend, and we can only do our part and then you do your part. But we obviously want you to have the best life possible. We talk about that a lot now and in the future.
I think that helps clear up that question. The next one I had was someone who's maybe waited, and let's say that they don't have enough to retire, but they are getting closer to retirement age. What should they be expecting in retirement, and how should they be making changes now?
If you're a few years off from retirement and you haven't been thinking and planning for it, I'm here to share with you that it's going to be rather startling. It will not be what you think. And so as soon as you recognize that need, address the need so that you can get to the retirement that you want to. Time is your most valuable asset, as we've talked about previously. And so as soon as you recognize the need, you want to go in and start looking at your retirement income life, whether that means a one-time appointment with a financial advisor just to get clarity and you're like, I'm going to do it myself, or a relationship that allows you to come in with what it is that you want and have an honest and exchange with a professional who is in the field, with people who retire all the time over a course of a lifetime, over 30 years of experience, have some feedback, make some decisions, right? Get some clarity, make some decisions, and then move forward, taking action, using time on your side. It's not intimidating. Step into it and take a look so that you can get to the place you want. Because that's the most important thing for all of us, that you have the life you want. So three things, right? Yeah. We have retirement income, right? We have the potential income sources for retirement income. Then identifying the need, what it is that you need in your retirement, whether it's through the retirement boom years, the mellow years, or the medical, determining that need, and then looking at creating your own retirement income stream and how that works. Something like at the end of every month, you should have an expectation. This is what you're drawing every month from your retirement income stream. So it's not a surprise, or it's not to say, oh, hey, the market's up, so let me take some money out, because that's not a good plan, because the market also goes down.
Yeah, right. You would draw it from your individual accounts on a monthly basis, a steady stream of income, so that you have it going into your bank, and you'll spend it just like you spend your pay, but you're paying yourself, basically. It's going to come out of your retirement accounts. It'll be sent to your bank once a month. Well, some people might want it more often, whatever you decide.
Yeah.
You'll get your pay from the Social Security office. You'll get your pay from your pension if you have one. And then you'll pay yourself from your investment accounts every month. Right. And that'll be how you will receive your income. Right.
Well, I think that wraps up a pretty expansive episode, and we hope that you enjoyed it. If you would like to talk to Wanda or Peggy about retirement income, you can schedule an appointment at our website, financesforreallife.com. This will be in the show notes, as well as any of the links or sources to cover some of the material regarding Social Security, retirement, just so that will be there for your own information as well. So we hope you enjoyed this episode. If you want to hear more, just check us out. Every 2 weeks we post, and you can find us on Spotify and YouTube currently, and we will be eventually expanding to a few more of your favorite podcast locations. So thank you, everyone. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advice offered through Finances for Real Life, a registered investment advisor and separate entity from LPL Financial. The opinions voiced in this podcast are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which strategies or investments may be suitable for you, consult the appropriate qualified professional prior to making a decision.